What's up, everybody? So I'm back and I'm continuing to go over what was being printed in the press at the time of Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey's arrest, their trial, and everything that happened post-trial as well. Now we are well into the post-trial articles of these videos. The first article from today is from January the 13th, 2016, and it is from the Madison, Wisconsin State Journal. The headline reads, "Avery files appeal to murder conviction." A convicted killer who is the subject of the Netflix series Making a Murderer filed a wide-ranging appeal claiming authorities used an improper warrant and that a juror was out to get him, among other things. Steven Avery, who's seeking to be released on bond, was convicted of first-degree intentional homicide in the death of Teresa Halbach. The appeal filed on Monday in an appeals court in Madison, Wisconsin, bears Avery's signature and contains numerous spelling and grammar errors. His new attorney's name doesn't appear on it. I wonder if that's Kathleen Zellner at this point in time. Manitowoc County Sheriff Robert said Tuesday he had not seen the appeal, but he said in the past that the investigation was proper. The filmmakers behind Making a Murderer cast doubt on the legal process used to convict Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey, and their work has sparked national interest. Authorities involved in the case have called the 10-hour series biased, but the filmmakers have stood by their work. In the filing, Steven Avery takes issue with a search conducted during the murder investigation, saying that it improperly included multiple properties and therefore any evidence that was uncovered is clearly fruit of the poisonous tree. The appeal also says that a juror tainted other jurors through direct or indirect influence by stating numerous times that Avery is guilty. He also said the judge, Angela W. Sawitsky, made misleading statements and that his lawyers were ineffective. Now, there was a new judge recently, like 2023 recently, that was assigned to Steven Avery's case. Kathleen Zellner wrote something about that recently. The next article is from January 17th, 2016 from the Madison Sunday State Journal. This might be the first one that was titled the Madison Sunday State Journal. Avery may be guilty, but the trial wasn't fair. Kenneth Kratz was willing to answer all of my questions. Many these days are demanding answers from the former district attorney of Calumet County who successfully prosecuted Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey for the 2005 murder of Teresa Halbach. All those questions are a result of the Netflix true crime miniseries Making a Murderer, which has caused a sensation by casting doubt on the guilt of both Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey. The pair were convicted of killing Teresa Halbach, who was taking pictures of Avery's car for a magazine. It was his sister's van, I believe, would be the correct statement there. But where Making a Murderer had raised legitimate questions, I wanted to hear Ken Kratz address the most notable. Did police plant blood obtained from an evidence test tube? Mr. Avery had a cut on the outside of his middle finger on his right hand, actually a cut sustained while he was hiding the RAV4 with his nephew Brendan. What about the fact that critical evidence was found by cops who had pursued a previous conviction against Steven Avery, for which he was later exonerated by DNA evidence? Now, it has Ken Kratz's answers in this article in brackets and quotes. It doesn't have like question, answer, it's just one big paragraph. I'm disappointed and I'm upset that those officers were as involved as they were. He said the documentary does not show the viewers the cabinet that the key was in. As the officers move the cabinet, the key falls out from behind the back of the cabinet where it was secured and then falls to the ground. So it's not anything magical about it. It's gravity actually that causes the key to appear. And why was there no forensic evidence in the room where the victim's torture had allegedly taken place? Teresa Halbach was not killed in the trailer. She was killed in the garage. Okay, so now it is wildly known that Brendan Dassey allegedly, like this is part of what he was convicted on. This was part of his story, that he states he cut Teresa Halbach's hair. He stabbed her in the bedroom. That's where all of the crimes took place. Yes, she was shot and killed in the garage, according to this story, this version of events. So he completely does not answer the question why there was nothing found in the bedroom. If all of that happened, part of your conviction came from, all of your conviction on Brendan Dassey came from his coerced confession. And now you're stating, or at least ignoring, the question of why there was no physical evidence found in the bedroom? Nothing, not a drop, no blood, no sweat, no DNA, no anything, hair, anything at all. There was nothing found of Teresa Halbach's, or Brendan Dassey's for that matter, in the bedroom of Steven Avery. So I love how he just completely ignores it and states that she was not killed in the trailer. That wasn't the question, Ken Kratz. The question was, why was there no DNA? Why was there no forensic evidence found in the bedroom where a lot of the crime allegedly took place? Still denying, well, I mean, still 2016 at this point, still denying the answer to the question why no DNA evidence was found. Absolutely insane. Also asked Ken Kratz to name one piece of evidence that the Netflix documentarians left on the cutting room floor. Well, I think probably the DNA on the hood latch, he said. I mean, because the DNA is non-blood DNA, because it is in a place. You know, you've got to pop up the hood from inside before you stick your hand under the hood, and it gets on the hood latch. Now, we know Kathleen Zellner explains this in season 2 of Making a Murderer, but at this point in time, there was no season 2 of Making a Murderer. There's no explanation for that. Ken Kratz kept me from believing in Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey's innocence. The idea that local police would kill a 25-year-old woman and frame Avery just to spare themselves embarrassment and their county. Nobody is stating that the police killed Teresa Halbach. I love how people print this narrative. I don't know anybody, and I'm sure there are people out there that state it. But of everybody I've talked to about this case, and the list is long, nobody actually believes that the police had anything to do with the actual crime of killing Teresa Halbach. And it's not even in a lot of these articles. So the fact that this guy is printing this in 2016 is bonkers. Like I said, I'm sure people in the area, or I'm sure there's some people out there that believe that that is the case. I'm not one of those people, and I've never actually had a discussion with anybody that has said, oh, I believe the police killed them. That's not a narrative I believe whatsoever. I think that's a false narrative. If it is out there on a giant mainstream level, I've never seen it, I've never heard it, but I don't think that to be accurate at all. The idea that local police would kill a 25-year-old woman and frame Avery just to spare themselves embarrassment and their county and an enormous civil judgment from a lawsuit based on Avery's previous improper incarceration for a crime he didn't commit is ludicrous. And absent their killing her, I think it is unlikely they would have planted her chopped up bones just to frame Avery. Why hide anything if the plan was to frame Avery? But Ken Kratz did not convince me that justice had been served. Most troublesome is the treatment of Brendan Dassey, who comes across as having been manipulated in his interrogation by police and taken advantage by his own lawyer, and that lawyer's investigator. Ken Kratz told me the deception of the interrogation was misleading. Well, you need to watch the whole 3.5 hours. I've watched as much. I've never seen one where it's like completely all 3.5 hours in a row. I have watched hours of it though on YouTube and in documentaries and all kinds of stuff. And I absolutely 100% believe that Brendan Dassey was led in this interrogation, that his confession was coerced. He was simply feeding back things that were being told to him. Well, you need to watch the whole 3.5 hours, he said, and this isn't a tea party. This is a homicide investigation where this young man had implicated himself. May be clear to Ken Kratz, but to this viewer of Making a Murderer, there is nothing straightforward about Dassey other than his mental illness. A recorded phone call between an incarcerated Dassey and his mother captures an exchange where they disagree as to whether he is stupid. He is clearly deficient. Stunningly, soon after his arrest for murder and facing life behind bars, he is recorded on a prison telephone asking his mother, will he be home in time to watch WrestleMania? In the midst of the 4th episode, Barb Tadek, Dassey's mother, is heard to say, "Steven's got a good attorney, Brendan don't." She was correct in her reference to Len Kaczynski, who, upon being appointed, told the press that Brendan Dassey, his own client, was morally and legally responsible for the murder. By the time Kaczynski was dismissed by the judge, he had sealed Dassey's fate by allowing the learning disabled 16-year-old to be questioned alone by his investigator, Mike O'Kelly. During that questioning, O'Kelly rejected Dassey's claim of innocence and prodded him for a confession. O'Kelly creepily wrote in a memo about the Avery-Dassey family, "We need to end the gene pool," and he was supposed to be on Dassey's side. Viewers are left to conclude that Kaczynski and O'Kelly had decided to be judge, jury, and executioner, perhaps to get their client a more lenient sentence, while helping the prosecutors convict his uncle. On that basis, Dassey deserves a new trial, and while Dassey's statement was not used against Avery at trial, it is entirely possible that publicity over Dassey's confession nevertheless harmed Avery's right to a fair trial. Look, they may both be guilty, and my hunch is that they are, especially where no evidence pointing to anyone else has surfaced. Now, this was I don't know when Kathleen Zellner came on board officially, so she would later, of course, uncover all kinds of stuff that pointed to somebody else, but that doesn't make it right. I still can't believe that Ken Kratz, I guess I can believe it, it's just insane, that asked specifically, why was there no forensic evidence in the room where the victim had been allegedly tortured? She was not killed in the trailer. That doesn't mean that part of Brendan Dassey's confession stated a lot of this happened in the bedroom. It's ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. Well, let me know what you think. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.